Hi, I'm Kevin Harrington, an original shark from the hit TV show Shark Tank. Welcome to this edition of Business Icons. And today I have a very special guest, Dan Hagler. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Now, you're a recognized author, speaker. You actually created the protected retirement process. And it seems like you got a lot of things going on day to day. I just want to know, what is your typical kind of a client that you work with?
Right. We work primarily with retirees, people who are retired, business professionals and executives, typically people age 50 and above.
Okay. So now you say retirees, but do you help people plan the process before they retire then? So is that, kind of the pre-retirement phase too?
Absolutely. It's critical for the pre, but also people who are retired, there are still things that they can do to improve their lifestyle.
So it's not too late if they're retired.
Right.
'Cause I do know, and as a planner myself, as an entrepreneur, I like to plan for marketing campaigns and my business growth,
Right.
et cetera. But sometimes people forget about their own personal financial plan, right?
That's very true.
Yeah.
I see it.
So you obviously, if they're retired, they're probably in their 60s at that point. And some people retire later, but some people are retiring earlier today. I know people that have retired in their 50s. So you work
Right.
with people probably from their late 40s to their 50s into their 60s, 70s, and on.
That's correct.
So it's a pretty good spectrum there.
Correct.
Yeah. And so what is it that they actually want or need at that point in their life?
What we find is that people have worked decades in their adult life and they're looking to live that retirement lifestyle they always dreamed about.
I see.
But they also want to do it without worrying about the cost of living, running out of money,
Right.
the stock market risks. They also want to make sure that they actively reduce their taxes too.
Right.
But at some point when they pass away, like we all do, they want to make sure it goes to their family and not to the government.
Right. So people have spent their entire lives making money and maybe saving some money, and now it's your job to help them plan for the future and be able to live in maybe the same comfort that they've been living during their working years, right?
Hopefully a little more too, because
Yeah.
they're not doing all the things that they want to while they're working.
Right,
So
exactly.
when they're retired, they're going to be doing a lot more.
So maybe they get to have some nice vacations and all those kinds of things. So you
Yes.
build that into the plan, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So the protected retirement process, that's got a nice feel to it. How does that work? Tell me about it.
Great question. My process, it's a proprietary process. In fact, it's trademarked. In fact, it has the highest level. It's a register mark.
Oh, wow.
And
Nice.
it is a 5-step process. And the 5 steps I refer to as the financial Pentagon.
Okay.
And of these 5 key areas, we look at overlaying these 5 key areas into anyone's current plan.
Okay.
And we stress test it to see what the hidden obstacles and problems that they're totally unaware of. So we bring them to the surface. These areas are reduced income taxes, so we want to do that annually.
Okay.
Looking at what is the right amount of risk that they should be taking with their investments, maximizing their retirement income,
Yep.
passing on to their family without paying federal estate tax or state death taxes,
Okay.
and most importantly, protecting it while they're in retirement from the four wealth predators.
Gotcha. And I think so the word protected is very powerful here because
Right.
it's protecting their assets is ultimately what one of the main functions we're talking about here.
And their lifestyle.
And their lifestyle,
Yeah.
right. So now how did you get into this business? Love to hear the story.
It's an interesting one. I'm sure you knew someone while growing up that was picked on or bullied in school.
Sure, absolutely.
I was actually.
Yeah.
Mine was really bad for 2 reasons. The first was my dad was a career pilot in the Air Force for over 20 years. So that put me in the #1 position.
Moved around a little bit
you
too,
bet.
right?
Every 2 to 4 years.
Oh, wow.
So
You're always a new kid on the block, right?
bingo. I was always a new kid. I wasn't in any groups or cliques. So the school bullies would easily find me and do their thing.
Wow.
Now, because of the moving and because of the stress with the bullies, I caused the second problem, and I resorted to eating a lot. So not only was I the new kid,
Yeah.
I was the new fat kid in school.
Oh, wow.
So you can see the target was pretty big on my back.
Oh, boy.
So sometimes I would defend myself. Other times I just didn't, maybe lack of security or confidence. But what I found most interesting and what energized me was that it wasn't that I stood up for myself, it was that I stood up for someone else in school, and that was my older brother, Brad. Now, he was born with a medical condition called albinism.
Okay.
So technically, he was born an albino.
Right.
He didn't have pink eyes, he had blue eyes.
Okay.
But he had white hair,
Yeah.
white skin, and
Yeah.
he would burn very easily.
Oh, wow.
So you can only imagine how the kids were ruthless on him.
Wow, that's terrible.
So I found myself standing up to bigger, older kids.
Okay.
Because it was my brother's classmates typically that was picking
Wow.
on him.
That
So you can kind of picture the new fat kid standing up for the albino.
Wow.
It's kind of like Laurel and Hardy a little bit. But what I found is that I was wired to protect people, those who were being taken advantage of. And I didn't see that resurface later until professionally. So when I went to business school at Arizona State University, I was recruited into the financial services world. And let's face it, it's a world that takes advantage of people still today.
Yeah, sure. Lots of bullies in the financial services
absolutely.
industry, right?
Yeah. And then what happened was when I went to training, I was shocked and appalled where they were teaching us how to cram financial products into people's situations.
Wow.
So where people needed custom solutions, people were getting the same thing over and over again.
Wow.
I call it assembly line planning.
Yeah.
So if you went to a doctor, Kevin, and they prescribed the same medication to all of their patients without really knowing those individuals' situation, what would you call
Very
that?
harmful. I mean, this could be devastating for someone's health.
Absolutely.
If you have an adverse reaction, which
Right.
I guess is what you're saying in the financial world. You
Yes.
could have adverse, very negative reactions can happen from the wrong products.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what's still going on today in the
Right.
financial industry.
Yeah.
The media is the same way. They're trying to push the DIY, I call it do-it-yourself planning, and these faulty messages that I see going on a regular basis.
Right.
Now that hit home personally for me. I had a family member who I grew up with, very successful business person. They had a lot in rental real estate, a lot in the market, and early in my career they sat down with me wanting my advice. So I recognized they needed to see a specialist. I also recognized they needed to diversify, and you know the old saying, they knew you when.
Right?
You know, so I kind of felt that, you know what, Dan's a nice guy, but he's kind of, you know, new. I knew him when. We're just going to go ahead and go on our own. So they decided to go on their own and DIY it. So what happened in 2008?
Yeah.
Market
fell.
crash.
Yeah, market fell.
Real estate crashed. And in
Yes.
fact, they lived in an area where it was devastated.
Yeah.
So where are they today? Living hand to mouth. They had to go back to work in their 60s, and they had to start all over again.
Wow.
So what would you think if that happened to you?
Be terrible.
Yeah.
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 No, that's terrible. I like this is the
That
word
was- yeah.
protected. I keep going back
Right.
to that you focused on. Now,
Yep.
so you started in college learning the financial
Correct.
business, and so now for many years you've been in this industry, and obviously you've had your own magical transformation just physically. I would never have guessed that you were ever overweight because you look great.
My mom always called it baby fat.
Baby fat, okay. So, and here the protecting your older brother, God,
Yeah.
that's an amazing story. So now you protect those out there in the
Right.
world of financial planning, and so they have so many challenges that are on a day-to-day basis that those folks are facing, from bullies to people trying to sell them products that are the square peg into a round hole type of thing. So your approach is different, and that approach is taking into consideration their own personal conditions and situation, right? So how does
Absolutely.
that work?
Well, this proprietary process, the protected retirement process,
Right.
is 5 areas that we overlay on their current situation.
Gotcha.
And then we stress test it. What
Okay.
I find most people, when we meet with them, they have plans, but they've never tested them.
Right.
So they've got the blueprint, it's never been tested, so we test their plan. What comes to the surface are the problems, like the blind spots, I call them, hidden obstacles that will derail their retirement. So we bring them to the surface through this process using the financial Pentagon, and then what we do is put together a blueprint and a plan of action to fix those things.
Wow, that sounds like just what the doctor ordered. Okay, so I'm sure that as we're talking here, folks are out there thinking, how do I get access to this? Do you have a no obligation way that people can touch base with you just to
yes.
kind of check it out and see the services and this? I love the Pentagon plan that you're this 5-step plan. So tell us about how they can track that down.
They can actually go to our website. It's the protectedretirementprocess.com. On that website, we have a couple of special reports. One of the reports is the how to avoid the 6 money mistakes that will derail a retirement. Another one is the 6 pitfalls to retirement planning. But also, and most importantly, there's an area there that they can request to meet with me. They need to take action, meet with me, and that's where I will meet with them complimentary to see whether or not we're a good fit or a right fit, but also to see how the process might be able to help them.
That's fantastic. So they get if they go to the protectedretirementprocess.com, and there they can opt in either a face-to-face meeting or they can download some kind of special reports type of thing, right? Two reports that give them some great information,
right?
And no obligation to do that.
Correct.
That's pretty amazing. And it's Dan Hagler. It's been great hearing your story, and
yes.
Thanks for being with us today. And
thanks again, Kevin.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here for this edition of Business Icons.